everyone. I am Dr. Shinika, and for tonight's Spark session with Dr. Shinika, I'm so excited because I have Tava Chavis on. Tava is going to talk to us about burnout, but really quickly, I just want to give you a quick overview of her. She is a life coach, a writer, and an entrepreneur. She studied business management at Guilford College and is certified as a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. So that means she knows project management well. Her expertise is in problem solving and attention to detail has helped her become a more impactful coach. She has used her knowledge and skills that she has obtained throughout her corporate career to drive outcomes in her clients' initiatives. Her mission is to let her light shine in the world, girl, mine too, and helping others do the same in her purpose. This is going to be a great conversation because it looks like we're both light. So again, I am Dr. Shinika, the Chief Creative Officer of the McKeever Group Creative Company, and I work with business, nonprofits, and individuals, but my niche is helping women of color to identify hurdles, defeat mindset obstacles, and create action strategies to move forward to get unstuck professionally. So let's get into it. So Tava, thank you so much for coming on. So I guess before we get started, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So you did my intro, which was so beautiful. Look, I need you to intro me all the time. So I am Tava Chavis. I am a country girl from Burlington, Mebane area. I recently left my corporate job to focus on entrepreneurship and coaching and to let my little light shine in the world. My last day at corporate was 2/2/22. So that was my day that it just aligned. That was the new chapter that I started. So I am on a mission to help women in particular, but men too, but women find their light, find their passion, get out of burnout, and do what sets their souls on fire.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So before we get into it, one thing that I did not mention in her introduction is that Tava actually wrote a book and she tried to downplay it, but you wrote a book and it's out there. So the name of her book is Burnout Recovery Guide, How to End the Cycle, which is why we're here tonight, is to talk about burnout. So before we get into kind of the good stuff, if you could describe yourself as any source of light, what would it be?
So I would say a candle.
Okay.
And the reason that I would say a candle is because candles are multi-use. You can't say that you use it for this or that. Candles can be used to set the mood for a romantic evening. Candles, because you're not going to say, oh, I'm going to have this romantic dinner by flashlight. Candles atone for your stress management, so aromatherapy and all kinds of things. And candles have been around since the beginning of time, so to speak. With all the changes in technology and all the different modes of light that we have, candles, as simple as they are, still exist. And I compare myself to that. I'm not trying to be the biggest light in the world. I don't enter the room and try to be the flashiest person. I am the light in the area that I need to be the light in. So I would say a candle.
I love that. And you guys know I am sunshine. So I just brighten up a room and brighten up a space. And my mom, that's her nickname, pet name for me. So I like to think that my light would be sunshine. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's get into the fun stuff, which is what I'm sure everyone is tuned in tonight for. So I guess before we get into kind of the depth of this, tell me a little bit about what happened to make you want to write a book on burnout.
It was me. It was
okay.
My life. I was neck deep in it. My last role, I was a director, a healthcare organization, assistant director in a healthcare organization, and just the stress of being in a leadership position during a pandemic, and add on top of that, being a Black person during all of the craziness that was going on outside of work with racial tension and having to turn that off and come to work. And yes, I'll do the spreadsheet for you. It was a struggle. Like in the importance of life, is this spreadsheet really important? Or is it the fact that I'm sitting over here worried about the males in my life? Are they going to get pulled over and be the next hashtag? So all of that mixed with trying to live through a pandemic like everyone else and losing family members, it was just a lot to deal with. And so I got intentional and started doing the work. And I started posting on social media and saw that other people were burned out. And I was like, I need to write a book.
Here you are. And I want to commend you on taking that leap of faith and stepping into entrepreneurship full time, because that is a big deal. So kudos to you for that, because that's scary and it can be very scary. And for you to just have that confidence in yourself and your business to just jump out there like that, I admire that so much. So congratulations. And yesterday was the Tuesday. That's just a great day in the universe, and it's such a unique day. So I think that is awesome. So how would you describe burnout? What does that look like?
So burnout is actually, it's 5 phases. So when you start a new job, you're in the honeymoon phase,
Mhm.
and everything is new and you're not really seeing the issues. Dating, like when you
Right.
meet somebody and you don't really see the red flags, although they're flashing, right? Like,
Yeah.
like it takes a while for you to see the crazy. So the honeymoon phase for the first phase of burnout is really, I'm just happy to be here. I'm optimistic. I really don't see the problems that could arise. And then after you've been there for a while, you learn the job, the newness starts to wear off, and then you start to see the issues and the stress starts to come on, and it just becomes a little harder to function.
Right.
And then the third phase is where it gets more chronic, and you may start to have headaches, a little stress. Stress starts to impact you different ways. You may start to miss deadlines. And then the fourth phase is actual full blown burnout, where you are like, you're ready to Hulk smash people and things. And you're just struggling to do the normal things that you love to do, don't even give you any kind of fulfillment. You're
Right.
more irritable, you're snapping. Like, that is when you're into full burnout. And then the next phase is where it just becomes more, where you're more depressed, when the depression starts to hit, and you're just really like mentally down, and it's harder to pull out of that final phase of burnout. But most people don't really realize you're in burnout, because especially as Black women, we are so strong that
Mhm.
we'll let it pass, and then we'll get to full burnout where we want to flip the table over, and then we're like, oh, I need to do something about this.
Yes, and everyone knows me. I talk we got into this in our last conversation, and next week is really going to be on point because our guest speaker, Dawn Payne, she's going to be talking about dispelling the myth of being the strong Black woman. So let's just dwell in that for a little bit, because I think that's so, you guys know the doctor's got to come in with academic theory here. So there's actually a theory called the strong woman syndrome, superwoman syndrome, where, specifically with kind of Black women, where they carry the weight of the world and they feel like they always have to be strong because that's what we've done since the beginning of time. Society was built upon our backs. And I think that we sometimes carry these, I'm not even going to say burdens, but we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And it's something that you feel like you have to do. So at what point did you realize like something's got to give, and what happened to where you like recognized that you needed to make some changes and that it was impacting your health and your well-being?
I feel like I was living in a house divided, first of all, because my passion and my true purpose lies in coaching and
Okay.
entrepreneurship. And although I was excellent in corporate and leadership, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that's what you should be doing if that doesn't
Bring you
fulfill you.
joy.
And so it just became this, on top of the burnout, it just became this nagging feeling like this isn't where I'm supposed to be, which further made me frustrated. And I actually went out on FMLA because I had surgery, and being away from work and just not having that stress really made me realize that is the source. And without having that, I feel like normal Tava again. And
Right.
so the Sunday night before I was supposed to go back to work that Monday, I got sick. I felt anxiety, like I can't do all the things and this is not working for me. And so that Monday before 10 o'clock, I knew that I was done. And like, it was like I came back to work and I was different, but nothing about the environment had changed.
Right.
So I had to make the decision, was I willing to stay in this situation and stay frustrated and keep trying to do all the things and be the leader? Or was I going to make the decision to step out on faith and do this entrepreneurship full time? And that's what I did.
Yeah, and I would agree. So I know I experienced something similar. Like I think it was around maybe 2013, 2014. And I was in a doctor's office and I was working in a really stressful environment. And I'm sometimes it's great to have Black service providers because so I'm in the doctor's office and I'm with this African American, my doctor at the time was African American woman, and I had a nervous breakdown. Like I'm in her office just like boo-hooing. I was just so stressed out from my job. And I usually don't do that, but I broke down that day. And in the midst of it, she comforted me. But she said, I need you to see a therapist. And one of the things, I'm a big proponent of therapy because therapy changed my life personally. And what she said to me was, not that anything was wrong with me. It wasn't a negative stigma or any of that. She said, you're dealing with workplace stress and it's really impacting your health. And so I started out going to therapy based off, again, just having this breakdown in my doctor's office. And I really appreciate having another Black woman to recognize that I needed therapy because again, I wouldn't have, that was probably not something or a path that I would have went through on my own. And I think something else that was really important that you said was around FMLA. And I'm pretty sure most people know what that is, but that's where you can actually have time off if you're dealing with certain things and it's paid. So I think that's really important. So I just want to say, if you're dealing with things and if your work environment is stressful and you're going through different things, really consider going to therapy because it can help and it really makes a difference because stress will kill you. And I said this on our last call, but stress or heart disease is one of the leading causes of, death among Black women. And we're in Heart Health Month. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourself, which is part of the reason why we're talking about this tonight, is just wanting to have a support system and a platform for Black women to make sure that they're getting what they need, because sometimes you get burnt out because you're constantly pouring in everyone else and you're not taking the time to pour back into yourself. Like sometimes it's okay to say no, because really what's going to happen is life goes on. People can survive and prosper without you doing things for them. Just think about when you take things on, what your load looks like, and are you taking something on to your own detriment? Because sometimes we pack our plate so full that you get sick. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself.
And your job will replace you before
Right,
hold in the ground.
show will have your stuff in a box. Like these companies are not loyal, and we are not in the generation of baby boomers where you stay with a company for 30 plus years. You have to do what's right for you, and if you are not valued, you're not appreciated, and you're not getting what you need in your job, it's perfectly fine to move on. And I don't care if you've been there 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. Like you got to put yourself and your own needs first. Anything else you want to add there?
No, just that we're good.
Cool. All right, so let me go into my next question. How do you recognize the symptoms of burnout?
So I would say if you pay attention to how you normally show up, if you're not normally a person who wants to flip the table over, that is a sign that you might be burnt out. But one of the things that people sometimes don't pay attention to is, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, we'll say, I'll just catch up on my sleep on the weekend. You can't do that. Or I'll go to bed earlier, but you go to sleep and you might sleep 10 hours and you're still exhausted.
Tired, right?
That's a sign of burnout. Just changes in your mood, really, that you're showing up differently, or just you can't even do the things that you normally do. Like those are the signs that most people don't even pay attention to. And things going on with your health. Is your blood pressure elevated? Are you having migraines and headaches all the time? Are you having some kind of gastrointestinal issues going on that's not normal? Those are signs of stress.
Right. And I think burnout, your body will tell you first and foremost. And I just want to come back to what you said about when you don't recognize yourself. And so when I was working on my PhD, my family will laugh at this one, but when I was working on my PhD, I had some moments where I was burnt out, and how I recognized it, or how my family knew, is I became like snappy with everyone. Like I wasn't a very likable person because I was just kind of spread so thin that I was taking it out on the people that were the closest and loved me the most. And I'm just thankful to have a great support system that they call me out on it. And once I recognize, wow, I really need to slow down or I'm going to hit a wall. Again, we're just being honest with you. It can show up in different ways. It can be your job. If you're in school, it can be school. It can be if you're your family and you're a mom and you feel overwhelmed. Like, that's perfectly okay. I don't have kids, but I think sometimes moms lose their identity in their kids and their husbands. I don't know if you have children or not. Like, you got to have an identity outside of all of that. And some people may think that I'm not the person to speak on that. But I think we as women, it's okay to have adult woman time with your friends. Like, one of my girlfriends is on the call now. Like, when I was working on my PhD, we always went to dinner because I told her, I said, regardless of whatever else goes on, I have to eat. And so
Right.
we always went to dinner, or like burnout for me would be like when I'm stressed out, I don't eat. So my family, or like my sister, would always, have you eaten? Or she'd come in with food because she knew that I was just kind of stressed out. I work full time, I'm working on paper. So I think it's making sure, one, you've got a support system to recognize the symptoms if you don't see it. But then again, just having that self-awareness of knowing, okay, I need to slow down.
Yeah. And I started to get on my own nerves. Like
Right.
the attitude, I was like, girl, you don't act like that. Like, what is going on with you? You will pick up on when you're not being you.
And it's so funny you said that. I was having a conversation with my mom earlier today, and she was like, the past few weeks, you've just been cranky when you get off. Like, I need you to figure that out. And I was like, yeah, you're right. When you find yourself complaining, or you're just not happy, or you're not, experiencing the joy that you usually experience, I think you got to pause and acknowledge that feeling and that emotion. Like, don't push your emotions to the side, because mental health, again, is so important. Because one of the reasons that I decided I wanted to start these series is I was just really, really bothered me when that young lady committed suicide a few weeks ago that was from North Carolina, Miss North Carolina. And it was just like, from the outside looking in, that girl had everything going for her, but clearly she was just struggling and dealing with some things. And apparently she didn't feel like she could talk to anyone, or, have that support system. I just want everyone to make sure that you can talk to people about what you have going on. So, how would you describe the difference between depression and burnout? Or are they one and the same?
So I would say there is a difference. Burnout is more related to an event like work or school or something like that. And normally when you take that stressor out, it's eliminated. But depression is a little more, it comes from a different kind of source, and
Okay.
it will stay longer. I'm not a clinician, so
No, yeah.
I can't
We
go
have the
into
clinician coming next week.
okay, yeah. We'll let Dawn handle that. But depression is gonna stay whether that source is there or not, because it's just deeper. Burnout can lead to depression,
Yeah.
but they're not the same.
Right. And just to touch on depression, I'm not a clinician either. I'm a doctor, but not that kind. Mental health is important. And sometimes, like, I tell people all the time, I'm very transparent. Like, I struggle with seasonal affective disorder. And like last year, like sometimes I wean myself off my meds, and I'm like, you know what? This year I put myself back on them, because I'm like, it's about to get cold and I have all these things going on, and I just don't have time to not be able to show up and recognize yourself. Like, I'm a person, I need sunshine, not sunshine, and I like warm weather. And even like, I've heard a lot of people the past few weeks just kind of talk about being low energy, not, or feeling extremely tired. And I think it's a lot going on in the world, and it's been like cold. We had, like, January was just full of snow. So
It was, yeah.
again, recognize the little things. It's the little things that trigger that something's off. So just make sure you know yourself enough to know what you need to address and when you need to address it. So again, if you need to go, if you're dealing with depression, go see your doctor and see what they have there. If you struggle with ADHD or anxiety or any of these things, like, that's perfectly normal, and people deal with those things every day. So just take the time to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
And I would say with both of them, it's important to keep strong people around you, like
Yes.
you said, so they can see it, and so that they can pull you out when you can't pull yourself out, for both of them. Because it's so easy, even with burnout, to close yourself in and not want to be around other people just because you're
Right.
exhausted and just don't feel like being in your normal self.
Or you shut down. And a lot of, and, and people that know you, they recognize that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. So what What tips can you share on managing burnout?
So I would say before you get to full burnout, it's good to have. I'm the self-care queen. I will take nap. Yes, I
Girl,
love
I'm the napping queen too. A nap is a reset for me.
Look, I saw my mama on here. She will advocate. I would not take a nap when I was little, but 43-year-old me takes naps all the time.
Right.
But yeah, if you need to take a nap, find your thing that recharges you. I will go get a massage in a minute. Yoga, meditation, exercise, get those endorphins up because that
Right.
exercise and get your heart rate up is a natural high. And who said 43? Yes, ma'am, I'm 40. But if it's reading, whatever your thing is, find it and do it often. And a lot of times we will not do for us. We will put ourselves, the strong Black woman, will
Right.
put ourselves on the back burner and do for everybody else. And we will not take the time to take care of us. So whatever it is that you need to recharge yourself and fill your bucket, do that. Because if you do it often enough and it becomes a routine, then hopefully you won't get to full blown burnout. If you get to full blown burnout, then I would say understand where it's coming from. What is the root cause of it? This is my Six Sigma black belt coming out. Because a lot of people will say, oh, it's the job, I need to
Yeah.
get a new job. But just dating, if I'm dating Bob and then I go dump him and go get somebody else and his name is Rand, he still might have tendencies like Bob because that's what I attracted. So you might go to the same kind of company
Right.
with the same issues with culture and bad processes and all those things that you just left, but you're gonna have to go through those cycles again to say, oh, this is the honeymoon phase. I'm starting to learn. I'm excited because I'm in a new area and you might not see it. So understand what is really causing it. And if you are the strong Black woman, the way that we are, and you're a high achiever and you've been the one that your leaders have always relied on, what role have you played in that? Because we play a role in how our leaders pull on us. And you got this phone, and if they're texting you after 5 or whenever your shift ends and you answer and they keep
No balance.
you don't have any balance, you don't have any boundaries, and you're still at their disposal, you're teaching them how to treat you.
I tell people that all the time.
Right. So you're going to take those same behaviors and move them to the new position. If you don't take care of any of that, you're going to have the same issues at the new place. So understand what the problem is and understand your role in the problem is what I would say when you get to that point, and set boundaries.
Okay,
And
I'm gonna come back to some of the things you said
okay.
because you dropped some really good gems there. Okay, so with the root cause, I think the root cause is really important because that's where it comes in doing the inner work. And so many people, like, I'm gonna just say this so I might get my hand slapped later, but you have people like, oh, I had the worst childhood, and they're like 60 years old and they're still hung up on something that happened 50 years ago. And I'm not minimizing their trauma, but you have people that bond in trauma and they don't do the inner work to realize, okay, yes, this happened to me. I'm not sure what call.
I don't.
But yeah, so we get caught in trauma and then you don't ever do that inner work to address what you need to address to move on or to improve and better yourself. So I think that's what really jumped out at me when you talked about the root cause. And I agree, because sometimes what you're blaming everybody else when really at the end of the day, you're the problem.
Right. Right.
Or you haven't taken the time to fix something that you're dealing with and it keeps showing up. I tell people all the time, life is going to keep teaching you the same lesson until you do what you're supposed to do. Trauma bonding.
Yeah.
Some people bond in trauma, like they live and they thrive off of trauma and negativity. And you have to be really careful with those people because those are typically the people that dump on you without permission. So I don't like trauma bonding. I'm a positive person. And I think trauma bonding can really get you in a negative place. Sorry about that if I wasn't clear on that. So yeah, I think the root cause is very important to do the inner work, and that it can feel ugly and you'll be very vulnerable in doing it, but it's necessary. Like, going within yourself is how you really find yourself and you fall in love with yourself and you build build that confidence that you need to build. So important to do that inner work. Let's see, what else did I write down? You said high achiever. I specifically coach high achievers. And I think one of the things with high achievers is like we hold ourselves almost to these unrealistic expectations. And one of the things my business coach told me, she said, is sometimes you put these restrictions on yourself. You're the only person that's putting this barrier, this restriction on yourself. So you're creating these obstacles and these challenges. And the only person that is worried about it is you. So sometimes you have to step back and manage your expectations. Yes, it's great to be ambitious, but not to a point where you are tearing yourself down, you're beating yourself up, and you're not giving yourself grace. One of the things my therapist told me a few years ago that my mom had to remind me of this today too, but I've always kept in the back of my head is, he said, Shinika, it's not fair for you to hold other people to your expectations because they're always going to disappoint you.
That's good.
That's real good.
Yeah.
You can thank Dr. Kirch for that one. That is not mine. It was real because I think when you are a high achiever, or some people would word it an overachiever or a perfectionist, you hold yourself to extremely high ideals and values, and you're disappointed if you don't meet those benchmarks or those thresholds that you've set yourself, and you expect everybody else to show up the way that you do. And the reality of it is everybody ain't gonna show up like you do. Some people, that's just not them. They don't know how. It's just not in their spirit. And you can't hold that against them, because again, it's not fair for you to hold other people to your expectations. So I think when you're dealing with some of this stuff, you need to be realistic in your expectations and with your ambition. Like, sometimes my mom's boyfriend, he told me something over the summer. He said, you're still young and you got time to do a lot of the things that you're doing. Like, you still have time. And I think that sometimes we get so caught up in what we want and in the timing that we want it in, that we just like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you end up running yourself in the ground, or I got to check this off. Or you don't take time to enjoy the moment because you're running off to accomplish the next thing. And if you don't take time to sit and enjoy your accomplishments, you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be happy, because nothing is ever going to be good enough for you, because you're constantly raising your own bar trying to achieve these different things, and that's not realistic. Perfection is not realistic.
And that was me. I would check one thing off the box, and then I'm like, okay, now what's the next thing? Like, that is stressful in itself.
It is. And so just being real with yourself, because most of the time you've accomplished or achieved more than anybody, and it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And I laugh because I always, I'm very family oriented, so you'll hear me reference my family a lot. And my mom's on too. And I would tell her, I'm like, Mama, I don't know what to do. And she always like, you got it. I'm like, I know I got it, but I just need a vent. So, so people know that you have it. So sometimes you just got to trust yourself and just be okay with it. And just on another note of that, I was having a conversations this week, just some of the things I'm going through personally. Patience has been my word for this week, patience. And I was talking to a lady last night at an event I was at, and we were chatting, and I was telling her how I had to be patient, waiting on some things to come through. And you know what she said to me that was really was like so profound. She said, what happens when you wait? So sometimes when you are all in a tizzy and you got yourself on like 100 and you really need to turn it down 99 notches, just take a pause and breathe and ask yourself, what happens when you wait?
Yeah. And I don't have to have my hands in anything while I'm waiting.
Right. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to. One of the things I had to roll back with myself was, you don't have to help everybody. Like, sometimes people can need to figure it out on their own, because sometimes when you do everything for everybody, it's almost inhibiting them to being, it's holding them back from developing or growing or going through things they need to go through. So you don't have to save the day all the time. Like, life goes on, constantly showing up, trying to save everybody.
Take your cape off, sis.
Right. Take your cape off, girl, and sit down.
Yeah.
Look, hey, I'm sorry if I'm reading y'all for filth. I'm reading myself for filth. Like, everything that I'm saying to y'all is things that I've had to do this work myself. And I think coming back to the balance and boundaries piece is also very important. And I want to talk about work-life balance for a little bit, because like you said, corporate can be very crazy sometimes. And I'm sorry, unless you're like a medical professional where you're saving lives, it ain't nothing in that job that don't call me after hours. I don't take after work calls, and I only respond to emails within the time of 8 to 5, the time that I work, my working hours. Now look, what you're not going to do is be calling and texting my personal phone after hours, because again, you have to set expectations and boundaries with people, because if not, you're going to be stressed out because your boss is calling you every day at 5:30, knowing you got to pick your kids up and talking for an hour. Like, you're off the clock.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
It's nothing in my job that can't wait until the next day. I don't know about anybody else, but no.
And so just don't answer the phone sometimes and see if they figure it out. If you're afraid to do it all the time, just let a call go to voicemail and see.
Mm-hmm.
And then check back the next morning. Oh, I missed your call. What did you need? And see what happens. They figured it out.
They did.
or it waited till the next day. But if the building's on fire, you're gonna have to call the fire department. Like, I can't
I can't do that.
What do you want me to do?
And I think
you teach people how to treat you, and you get what you tolerate. And if you keep tolerating, I'm gonna answer the phone, you're gonna get more phone calls and text messages after hours. So you gotta make the choice of, am I going to keep continuing to get these after hours calls? Do I want them to keep thinking that I'm going to rescue the day and tell them where to put the coffee pot or whatever it is that they're calling to ask you? No, make a decision. Right. I'm empowering you to make a decision.
Yeah. And I think the other piece of that is you got to leave work at work sometimes. Yes, we spend a lot of our time at work, which is why you really should love what you do. If you don't like your job, find something else, because you spend most of your day at work. But like when you're done, you can't keep taking that with you, because you get home and you got an attitude with your family because work done got on your nerves. Like, you're not there anymore. So you got to learn to leave work at work.
And your family is most important.
The most important.
Yeah, your family is most important.
Okay. So is there anything you want to share on managing burnout? Oh, let's go back. She said tips for managing that if you work from home. I think you have to set your hours, like these are the times, and at 5 o'clock or whatever your cutoff time is, cut it off.
And get up, sit at that desk for 8 hours or however long your shift is. And one of the things that I struggled with as a leader was people were very disrespectful of my Microsoft calendar, right? So it was back-to-back meetings from 8 to 5. So I had to start blocking off time to get my work done, because I'm not going to be in a meeting all day long. And then you think I'm going to do my work. That was not working for me. So be empowered to take control over your calendar if you're able to, and just make sure that you get up and move your body, because it's so easy to just sit in that seat the whole time, because you don't have the drive-bys that you had in the office where people are coming to talk to you and then 20 minutes has gone by, or you go to the bathroom and then you go to the break room and they're floors apart and then you got to walk around. So you have to be intentional about moving your body at this point and taking your breaks. And if you're hourly or if you're salary, whatever, take your 15-minute breaks and get up in between that. Take your hour lunch or 30-minute, but make sure that you put in time for you, because you will sit there and before it's 5 o'clock or whatever time your shift ends, that you do what you need to do for you.
And I'm gonna just add to that. I think it's important to step away from your desk at your lunch break. Even if you eat lunch, go outside. You got to get away from that desk. And one of the things, I just bought like a smartwatch that I love about it is like every so often it'll tell me get moving. Look up quick stretches like that you can do at your desk for 10 or 15 minutes. Or if you know that you get into your work, set work for 45 minutes and then set a timer so that you need to get up and move. But I think movement and stretching is very important there.
Very.
Okay.
Walk around the block if you can walk around the block, like or get a jump rope. Like one of the things I did was, especially when I was really in the middle of burnout and I was stressed out, I would go jump rope. Like when I felt like I wanted to flip the table over, I would grab the jump rope, go jump rope for 5 minutes, and that was enough to get my endorphins up, and I would come back and that improved my mood. So whatever you need to do, find your thing.
Yep. Take the time, make the time.
Yep.
Okay. So what advice would you share on preventing and dealing with burnout?
Like we were saying before, just make sure that you have set boundaries. I think boundaries are important in life in general, but make sure that you set boundaries so that people understand your expectations and what you are willing to deal with and what you're not. Boundaries are a part of self-care to me.
They are.
And they are just essential for life. And when you set them, make sure that you enforce them. And it has to be a non-negotiable. We don't barter with boundaries.
No.
My boundary is my boundary. And if you don't like it, then the conversation can end. But I would say enforce your boundaries. And if you are struggling with your work, or if your workload is too much, then have a conversation with your leader and say, especially if you're a high achiever, sometimes leaders will use that to their advantage. They know you're going to get the job done. They know they're not going to have to worry about it being right. They know it's going to be done on time. And if they keep piling on you and it's 15 other people on your team, and you know that you are killing yourself and everybody else is chilling, then it's up to you to say something, because your leader is going to go to the person who's going to get the work done. Because at the end of the day, they need the job done. And if they can go to you instead of Sally and not have to have a whole conversation and Sally's attitude, and they know you're going to do it, they're going to come to you every time. This is just from one overachiever to another.
So this is maybe a little bit off the topic of burnout, but I think it's also very important. So when they're giving you these extra responsibilities, or if you're taking on extra tasks that are outside of your job description, write that down, because at the end of the year, that needs to be in your performance review. So I had to coach a young lady that I work with, because nobody was really coaching the Black women in the office, but that's cool. But I told her she's doing a whole lot of stuff that fell outside of her defined role. And I was like, you need to start writing down everything that you're doing, because one, that is your documentation for why you need a raise or a promotion. And then two, like, I'm doing all this extra work and this is what I'm getting paid. So at the end of the day, keep a brag sheet for yourself and what you're doing, so that when it comes time for performance reviews, you can spit it off like that. Boom, boom. You got to be willing to advocate for yourself, because no one in that office is going to advocate for you better than you. So again, just if you're doing extra responsibilities outside of the scope of your job, make sure you write it down. And if it's stressing you out, be like, look, you don't pay me to do this. Don't say it like that. But but like, just, you can,
but you might say
it. Just if you like, because one of the concepts that blows my mind is this whole idea of putting people in interim roles and then hiring someone else after you've been doing a job and intern. Right. You ain't gave me no intern pay or nothing, but you're gonna just bring someone. That's crazy to me. Yeah. So it's okay to say no, especially if you are at capacity in your job and they're not paying you to do all of these other things. You got to be willing to stand up for yourself. So.
If you make your brag sheet and you go to your performance review at the end of the year and they don't run you your money, then you add that to your resume and you run somewhere. And welcome to my TED Talk.
Exactly. Boom. So just to touch on that, because I think we've got a lot of women on with your resume, though, take that brag sheet to quantify your results. Like, I increased production by X amount, because that's really what they want to see. Tell them what you did. Nobody can sell you better than you. So make sure that you're just keeping track of all the great things that you're doing. And it doesn't have to necessarily even have to be within your job. If you're showing up in your church, you volunteer in different organizations, put all of that down, because that just further supports your experience and your expertise and why you need to be ran your check.
Yes. Running
my money. I don't play about my money. Okay. Look, I told her we was going to have a good time with this. So, okay. And so if you could share any advice with your younger self, what would that advice be?
I would say, girl, relax. Like, all these things you think are serious are not. Nobody really knows what they're doing. Nobody's path has been straight. Everybody's is a winding road. and just show up and do the best you can and be your authentic self. But girl, just relax. Because the perfectionist was like, oh, I got to do this and this, and I got to do this and this by this. And I beat myself up about a lot of things that right now just aren't even, they're not important.
Right. I
Yeah.
probably shouldn't say this, but ladies, have the audacity of a white man.
I'm Chad.
Chad
I'm
feels like he
Chad.
can do it all, and he's got like half the
Oh.
skill.
He doesn't ask for permission. He just does
He
it.
just does it, and usually they let him. Have the audacity of a white man in anything you do.
Yeah.
Whether it's if you're looking for, if you're right.
She calls hers Keith. My name is Chad. Chad would do.
If it's a job you're interested in, apply for it. Like the worst they can say is no. Like a white man, he'll have his 15 qualifications, he'll have 2 of them, and you can't tell maybe, and you can't tell him he ain't best for it. So stop downplaying yourself and your skills, and just put yourself out there and show up. So if you can't take nothing else away, have the audacity of a white man.
Yeah.
Oh, let me behave myself.
Be bold.
And yeah, be bold, like, and show up and show out. Because at the end of the day, you ain't gotta like me, but you're gonna respect me because I do good work.
And most of these job descriptions, they're asking for the world. They want the perfect candidate. They're gonna take that pile of people that have applied and pick hopefully the best person for the job. So why not throw yourself in the pile?
Right. Yes, yeah. Like you gotta sell yourself. And look, be confident. There's a difference between being confident and cocky, and everybody like be humble. Like you ain't really gotta be humble. Don't be going out there acting a fool, put people down. But it's okay to talk about yourself and to share your accomplishments because you worked hard for that.
Yeah. If it's a fact, then it's just
it is what it is. As my sister would say, I said what I said.
That's what I said.
Okay, so I guess I got 2 more questions before we wrap it up and open it up for questions from everybody that's on. So if you had 3 kind of nuggets or takeaways from our conversation that you would want to leave with our audience, what would those 3 takeaways be?
So I would say first and foremost, if you are in a position where you are miserable and you are not happy, I would say don't focus on I've been in this position for 20 years or 15 years. If it's a relationship or position or whatever it is, don't focus on the time, because would you want to stay in that position for 15 more years and still be miserable? Because the likelihood of something changing is very low. So unless you do something about it and control the things that you can control, and if you've exhausted all of the things that are in your span and you've tried it all, and the only thing you can do at this point is either stay there or go, it might be time to go and count up the cost. What is the cost of staying?
Mm-hmm. It's not worth your mental health.
Is your misery worth that? Is your health worth that? Is your mental health worth that? What is the cost of staying there? And I would also just say that you didn't get here overnight, so don't expect it's not a magic pill that you're going to just jump out of burnout. It's going to take work, and it's going to take intentional work. So just be intentional and be diligent in trying to recover. And I'm a big advocate of therapy. So get a therapist, find a coach, somebody to help pull you through, because it's so easy to just get stuck in your emotions that you can't even see a way out. So you got to fight. You got to fight your way out.
Yeah, all I got to add to that is life is too short to be anything but happy. So if you're not happy, your happiness is dependent upon you, and success is not happiness. If you're happy, the success will come. So just make sure that you have joy and that you do things that bring you joy. Okay, so my last question for you before we see if anyone in the audience has any comments or questions would be, what has been your biggest lesson on this journey and dealing with your own burnout?
I would say my biggest lesson has been that you can't always heal in the environment that made you sick. So if you're trying to do the work and then you're in a toxic work environment, or you're in an environment that just you're short staffed, it's all these issues outside of your control, but you're trying your best to get through it, you may not be able to heal, and you may need to take FMLA, you may need to leave or whatever, but you may not be able to heal in that environment that made you sick. If you were an alcoholic and you were trying to stop drinking, you wouldn't keep going to the bar. You can't. And I know people are like, I don't want to leave a job, and there are other jobs. Put yourself first and care enough about yourself to get out of this.
And I think that also includes recognizing when you're in your comfort zone, because sometimes we stay in places because it's where we're comfortable at, and we're scared to take the risk and go to that next level. You've got to recognize when it's time to move on, because toxic environments, they're toxic and they're never going to get any better. And that's the same with toxic people. And it's okay to cut people off. If the person is constantly putting you down or they're draining you, like, cut them off, like cut them off. Like, life is too short for that. And if they're just using you up, like relationships are reciprocal. They should be mutually beneficial. So cut toxic people and toxic work environments, toxic things out. I am also a big proponent in mental health days. So take your vacation and use your sick time. And if you're not feeling good and you need to step away from somebody, call out. Like, they can't tell you what you can do with your time. Call out. And you just say, no, I'm not feeling well. I will not be in today. Boom. They ain't got to know. You might just don't want to get out of bed and you want to sleep in, but that's none of their business.
Even if you work from home.
Right. Because use your vacation when you work from home, because if not, everything's just going to start running in together. I like to tell people I take mental health days, and I had one on Friday, but I need another one. But we gonna get my birthday's coming up, so I'm gonna have them take that day off. Take your time, because that's what vacation is for. And at the end of the day, you can't. If you leave a company, they don't pay out sick time. So if you got sick time, use it. Take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself. Tava, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me. But before we wrap up and do our last minute wrap ups, I want to open it up for questions or comments. So if you have a question, or if you have anything you want to share, you can either drop it in the chat or raise your hand and you can unmute. Give y'all a few seconds to see if that's what you want to do. And if not, that's fine too. Same over on Facebook. Someone said great information. Thank you, guys. We aim to please. I'm not seeing any questions. Let me go over here and jump on the Facebook Live. Okay. I don't see any over there either. So I think we're good. You are so welcome. So I'm doing these spaces like every week. I think we're booked out through the end of March. I think I've got like the last week of March open, but we've got some dope speakers coming up, and I can't have enough, because this was awesome. So next week's Spark session, I will have Dawn Payne on, and she's a psychotherapist, and she also owns her own makeup boutique called Dust to Dawn. And so she's going to be talking about, yes, and she's my line sister, and she's awesome, and I love her. So she's going to come on, and we're going to be talking about dispelling the myth of being the strong Black woman and self-care. So I think that one is Monday at 7 p.m., but I'll be probably getting everything up, I think, this evening, and hopefully I'll figure the tech out between now and then. They'll get it live streamed to LinkedIn, but it was something I'm going to ask my techie friend. She might know, but I'll be posting that soon. And as you see these, share, because really one of the reasons I'm doing this is I want to use my platform to support and empower other Black women. Of course, we may have some Black males on at some point too, but this is for us, by us. And I feel like I'm okay with that, because we don't have a lot of spaces where we can have these type conversations and this engagement, and I feel like it's important. So that's really my why behind it, is I just want to empower someone, help someone, and leave people better than we found them. So Tava, really quickly, do you want to go through and do your plug on your coaching program and what you coach on and how people can reach you?
So I am a life coach. As I said, right now my focus is on burnout. I actually coach on purpose, finding your purpose. But what I found is a lot of people can't figure out their purpose because they're so burnt out. So right now, this moment, I'm focusing on burnout. I have written the book and I'm starting a boot camp March 8th. I'm having a free workshop on March 5th. It will be March 5th at 10
Can you share it with me and I'll share it with my platforms?
Yes,
and can you drop the link to your book or the title of the book in the chat in case people want to buy it?
This is my website. What else did I? Oh, that's not right. It's 2 N's. I can't see without my glasses on right now.
It's fine. It's fine.
And I am at Tava Lynette on all social media platforms if you would like to find me. So I am grateful for this space, and I will be tuning into the other Spark sessions, especially next week because I have to support my girl Dawn. But this has been great, and I appreciate you sharing this space and having this space for us to have these conversations.
Oh, no, I feel like it's very important. So the next one, like I said, is going to be on dispelling the myth of the strong Black woman. I think the one after that is going to be on diversity, equity, inclusion in the corporate workplace. And someone else, Amelia, will be on that one. So she's great as well. And then I think the one after that will be on life insurance and why it's needed in the Black community. We've got some really great speakers, great topics. I'm also open to recruiting new speakers. So if you know of anyone that you think would be a good fit for this platform, please give them my information, or if you're interested in coming on, just shoot me a direct message on social media, or you can email me or whatever. But again, everyone knows I am Dr. Shinika, and really what my coaching niche is, I help people get it together in their life. And that's usually around mindset and creating strategies. And what I really do is help people cultivate and identify their natural gifts and talents so that they can use that to become the best version of themselves. Because every day I get to do what I'm best at while I'm doing what I love. So I cannot thank you all enough for taking your time out this evening, for joining us. And I look forward to next week. And Tava, thank you again. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Just put yourself first. It is not selfish to put yourself first. So that is my last and final statement. Put yourself first.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And again, I think this will be live stream. It's live streaming on Facebook as it is, but I'll be sharing the link once I get it set up to YouTube and all that fun stuff. So again, thank you so much for your support, and thank you for joining us this evening. I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Bye.